So very good morning everyone. Let's quickly take a look at one good question from Ind AS 115 illustration 15. The main reason began sharing this is it was asked in your September 25 mock, so all the way more important. So do check it out. An entity enters into a contract with the customer for two intellectual property licenses A and B, which the entity determines to represent two performance obligations, each satisfied at a point in time. The standalone selling prices of license A and license B are 16 lakhs and 20 lakhs respectively. The entity transfers license B at inception of the contract and transfers license A 1 month later. So two scenarios. First is variable consideration allocated entirely to one performance obligation. The price stated in the contract for license A is fixed amount 16 lakhs, and for license B the consideration is 3% of the customer's future sales of products that use license B. So for purpose of allocation, the entity estimates its sales based royalties, that is variable consideration, to be rupees 20 lakhs. Allocate the transaction price. Next is variable consideration allocated on the base of standalone selling prices. So the price stated in the contract for license A is fixed amount of 6 lakhs, and for license B the consideration is 5% of the customer's future sales of the products that use license B. The entity's estimate of sales based royalties is 30 lakhs. Here, license A is transferred 3 months later. The royalty due from the customer's first month of the sale is rupees 4 lakhs. Allocate the transaction price and determine the revenue to be recognized for each license and the contract liability, if any. So, this is the question. Let's quickly see what exactly is expected from you. So, first is case in a case A. So in that case, the entity considers the criteria in para 85 and concludes that the variable consideration should be allocated entirely to license B. This is because the variable payment relates specifically to an outcome from a performance obligation to transfer license B, because the customer's subsequent sales of products that uses license B is this particular aspect. And next is allocating the expected royalty amount of 20 lakh entirely to license B is consistent with the allocation objective as per the para of Ind AS 115, because the entity's estimated amount of the sales based royalties, that is 20 lakhs, approximates the standalone selling price of license B, and fixed amount approximates the standalone selling price of license A. This point is very important from year to year. So the entity allocates 16 lakhs to license A, because based on this assessment of the facts and circumstances in this scenario, license B, some of the if allocating to license B some of the fixed consideration in addition to the variable, it will not meet the allocation objective as per para 73. So both the paras you need to rely upon and answer this question, that is para 73 as well as para 85. So if you see, next aspect is the entity transfers license B at inception of the contract and transfers license A 1 month later. So as soon as the license B is transferred, the entity does not recognize revenue, because the consideration allocated to license B is in the form of sales based royalty. So the entity recognizes revenue for sales when the subsequent sales occur. So only when at the time of subsequent sales they can recognize it. So when license A is transferred, the entity recognizes as revenue 16 lakhs allocated to license A. So this is with regarding to your case A. So what are the key things you should keep in mind is the timing of recognition of revenue, that is only at the time of subsequent sales in case of license B, and how it is allocated and to license B. These are the two key aspects regarding to case A. Now coming to case B. So if you see, entity applies the criteria and the entity concludes that even though variable payments relate specifically to an outcome, allocating the variable consideration entirely to license B. So previous case it was entirely allocated to license B, but in this case it is not. So the entity allocates the transaction price. This point is very important. Listen carefully. So the entity allocates the transaction points on the basis of relative standalone prices. So in the proportion the entity will allocate. So in this case, if you see, license B is transferred to the customer at the inception and license A is transferred 3 months later. So when license B is transferred, the entity will recognize a revenue of 3,33,033. This is very important. Lot of chance for coming in MCQ as well. So 20 lakhs by 36 lakhs into 6 lakhs. So proportionate basis, and also when license A is transferred, the balance amount, you can arrive at balance amount or you can do this as well. So that is 6 lakhs minus 3,33,033, that will give you 2,60,667. So that will be recognized as revenue once license A is transferred. So in the first month, royalty from customers due for the first month sales is 4 lakhs. So the entity will recognize a revenue of 2 lakh 20,222 because 20 lakhs. Now the earlier was 6 lakh allocation, now 4 lakhs. So 4 lakhs minus 2 lakh 222, the entity will recognize the contract liability of 1 lakh 77,778 because the subsequent sale by entity's customer has occurred. So performance obligation of the royalty has not been satisfied. So the revenues in case of license B it is 2,22,000 and the contract liability to be recognized will be 1,77,778. So all the requirement of the question is answered within 5 minutes. We are able to see this important question. Do check it out. Do make use of it. Quickly make note of this computation, all those things, so that you need not even again have to come back to it on exam day morning, because Ind AS 115 is one of the direct questions from which if you revise properly you can score easily. That is why objective can share in these things. Make use of it. Keep going. Best wishes.